Hello, all you weirdos. Jim here, and if you're like me, you're all ready for Summerween and Night Terrors to end and get back to the dawn of DC that had a lot of people finally excited about DC Comics again. Of course, Mr. DC, sitting there in his penthouse apartment, most definitely dressed up like the Monopoly Man, has figured out that what fans really want after this 2-month event is Gotham War, a Batman Catwoman crossover event. We'll have to see how that plays out, but recently Tini Howard talked to CBR's Dustin Holland about the Gotham War, and while it's just a typical publicity fluff piece type of interview that you usually get, Tini Howard actually turned it into something a bit more special, and what I mean is, she said enough ridiculous things so that I could make this video. I think everyone should be worried about the upcoming Gotham War event, because after reading this interview, I certainly am.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Before we continue, usually people will say, hey, subscribe and like to this channel, all that. But what I want to do is give a shout out to my guys over at the Second Print Comics YouTube channel. They are friends of mine, Mark and Remzo. This isn't an ad. It's actually me just trying to help out a couple buddies of mine that have a really, really good comic book YouTube channel. And I've been covering comics for quite some time now. I'm fairly new to YouTube, and I never knew how hard it was to gain an audience. And unfortunately, some really good shows can end up getting, slipped through the cracks. And I don't want that to happen to anybody, but it can't happen to the Second Print Comics YouTube channel. They are too good for that. And if you like the stuff that I do here, you'll love the stuff that they do over on their channel. There is a clickable link in the description of this video. And seriously, go and do yourself a favor and go check out their channel. Maybe after the video. I was going to say right now, but let's stay with the video afterwards. Go to the description, click the link. You can thank me later. Now, before continuing, again, I do want to admit that I kind of lied in that first section. I said that this interview made me worried about the Gotham War. That's not entirely true. Actually, it's a straight up lie, because I've been worried about the Gotham War since it was announced. The reason why? I've been reading Tini Howard's Catwoman run, trying to be nice here. It's ridiculously, hilariously bad. I mean, one of the main plot lines in the book is Duchess the Cat delivering street-flavored ramen to Selena through the vents of a prison. Who makes this stuff up? I'll tell you who, it's Tini Howard. So at the end of this interview, I was a little more worried about Gotham War, but really it kind of validated my opinion that Tini shouldn't be writing Catwoman in general. But let's get into this. This is what Tini Howard has to say about Gotham War. CBR asks, what can you tease about your and Chip Zdarsky's work on Gotham War? Such a fluff question. What can you tease? What Tini Howard teases here is that her and Chip are great friends, and they wanted to do things together. It kind of gets a little convoluted the way that she explains these things, but it's nice enough. She's saying that her and Chip are good friends. She says, the big thing is that Chip and I, for the time we've been working on these characters, we've been friends for a long time. Not really a complete sense in my mind, but okay. She's kind of doing this. I'm going to translate it through my Tini Howard computer here. And what she's saying, me and Chip have been friends for a real long time. And now we're doing these characters, but our friendship went way before that. She continues, he's someone that I wanted to work with. We get along creatively. And it's funny, you haven't worked with them, but you get along creatively. Maybe they had an art class together or something like that. Or maybe they did like Mad Libs one time in a hotel. I don't know. So, and when you do Mad Libs, you say butt and penis all the time. That always gets me going. So we decided we should do something together. All right, that's fine. And it kind of paints the picture of Tini and Chip. They're tra-la-la and holding hands, skipping down the lane. And then they go, it'd be great, us working together on the Batman Catwoman book. Yeah, not really. You would guess that this more has to do with the idea that Catwoman, the book, is floundering, right? And maybe it can get elevated by joining in with the big book, biggest book, probably, of comics. Don't tell me that this is just you and him like, hey, we should work together. And then they're like, hey, it'll be great. There's other reasons, but it's nice. It's nice for her to say that. We've both got these incredible characters that have this incredible relationship. Chip is a writer I really trust and love. He's someone I can work with about tough questions and messy story pieces. This is going to be the first of a couple of times that she's going to give little hints that this Gotham War story is going to be a little darker and grittier than what we might be used to. Though we're talking about BatCat and Tom King writing the BatCat stuff, I'm not going to say that that was all sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops. So we'll see what she thinks about that in a little bit. But she goes on and they ask her, what are the inspirations for the BatCat stuff for both Chip and Tini? And this is something that is a little pet peeve. I understand it's not going to get a lot of other people upset. Maybe it does. But it will be one of those things. I'll tell you, I have a lot of pet peeves. I'm a complicated guy. I don't like Chewy Chips Ahoy, and I don't like s'mores. But I understand people might like those. I don't know why they're the devil's products, but still, I know some people like that. But this is part of the deal where when you have a comic book writer talking about writing comics, I hate when they just end up referencing movies and not the vast amount of character and stories that you have with these characters in comics themselves. But I get it. She says, this was born out of our love for Batman Returns. Okay. We both had our minds blown by that movie as kids. So that feeling of Batman and Catwoman in that movie, that feeling of them in the comic that persists was just something we really wanted to play with. All right. It's an important relationship to us. Now, this is where my bullshit meter starts going, because she says it's an important relationship to us and it didn't feel right to not get the chance to put them together. Now, whether or not she means that and whether or not she was able to do that before, she is the person who ended up creating Valmont, a character that Selina was nailing. They were having sex, which seemed to put more of a wedge between her and Batman. Even though they were in a hiatus, they may have an open relationship, but Batman didn't seem to love that. So if you're so big on putting them back together, at least mention that you kind of wedged them apart a little as well. And plus, the lead up into all this really does come from Selina killing, and I'm going to put that in air quotes because I still think Valmont will come back, but killing Valmont to save Batman. Batman's saying, you shouldn't go to jail for this. And Selina said, no, I'm going to jail for a hot weekend. See you later. That ends up with her getting street flavored ramen delivered by her cat, and then a bunch of other crazy characters that seem to be like in county jail. I still don't get it. I don't get it. But she says that. Okay, it didn't really go straight for me there, but I think that she is trying to maybe convince some of the BatCat fans that were thrown off by Valmont to kind of come back. Because then she does end up mentioning Tom King. And whether or not you love, hate Tom King, you can't avoid Tom King in any BatCat discussion. You can't. So she does bring it up. Now, it kind of throws a little red flag that the only thing she brings up is the last thing that he did, the 12-issue maxi series Black Label book, Batman Catwoman. But the way that she describes it here, I don't think she read it. I think this is straight up lie. She says Tom King did 12 wonderful issues of them being very happy together. I've read those 12 issues. I'm not going to say that every issue of that. I'm going to say there might be a couple pages, and there are points in that are nice, but there's a lot of dark and gritty and sus things going on in that book. But she says it was them being very happy together, and then stresses the fact as if that book was so lovey-dovey that she had to come in here because she says, but you've got to throw some punches. As if Tom King threw no punches in that 12-issue maxi. I'm telling you, he was throwing uppercuts, haymakers, lefts, rights, jabs. There were so many punches thrown in that 12 issues. I don't know what she's talking about. I don't think she even knows what she's talking about. Because really, again, whether or not you love Tom King, hate Tom King, or even loved or hated that 12-issue maxi series, what you did get in that wasn't just them being very happy together. It was showing, kind of the trials and tribulations of a very complicated relationship, even more complicated because of their hero/villain backgrounds, the people around, all that going on, then a kid, all these things being thrown in to show a really dark and, again, gritty and complicated relationship. It was not 12 issues of them being very, very happy together. But yet Tini's here saying that's what it was, and that she's going to be the one to step it up and throw some punches. And that just felt off. Then she continues, and she's going to start talking about Catwoman in this Gotham War, but in a way that she's going to try to elevate Catwoman. I get it. She's writing Catwoman. You're going to want to hope that the person writing a Catwoman book thinks that Catwoman is the cat's meow, right? That's what you would want. The problem is that Tini Howard comes in that vein of what we're getting recently. In the, past couple of years, it seems that the only way these writers can elevate a character is by lessening a known good character. And so what she is going to say is how great Catwoman is, but really also how bad Batman is. And if you have been reading DC Comics the last bunch of years, I mean, I'm even saying, go back to Tom King's stuff as well. Batman needs somebody to elevate him. I know that he is the biggest comic book character. Him and Spider-Man duke it out right now, the top selling comic, all that. But seriously, somebody has to help out the guy. And that's where I think that a lot of people who are thrown off by Chip Zdarsky, I think Chip Zdarsky doing the Bat God is trying to do that. But still, Batman loses constantly. This guy can't catch a break. And yet here we are again, because she says Catwoman is at a high point. I mean, really, she ended up getting ramen delivered to her in the prison by her cat. She ended up just breaking out when she wanted. She's just come out of jail. I mean, that's really when people are at their high point, right? That's what I know. She broke out with a crew of incredibly well-trained thieves. Now, that makes me giggle because they weren't. She tries to make them that in the story, but really, if you are incredible and well-trained, you should not be in jail. That's not where you go to get the best of the best. They're the ones who got caught. But she says, including people like Lady Clayface. Everybody thinks of Lady Clayface as the incredibly well-trained thief. Lady Clayface, she has a very powerful crew. That might be true, but it was weird and wonky how you got to that point. But okay, she's been able to shove Black Mask's face in it. Okay. The current crime families in the city may not always listen to her, but they don't cross her. Not really yet. I mean, we've seen them cross her over and over again in this. Plus, she was in jail. Things like human trafficking, you throw that out there. That really, in the run leading to this, has nothing to do with Cat. That was Aiko. She was the one who was pissed off about the human trafficking, and that was just, it seemed, thrown in as a soapbox thing anyway. It really never was earned. None of this was earned. What she's talking about now was never earned in the book. She's not allowing that to happen in Gotham. She's got the sense of, if there's going to be a crime, why don't I train people to do things like property crime? What? Like, this is her big play. This is an interview trying to get people fired up about the Gotham War. Oh my God, Catwoman versus Batman. That's all you need. The elevator pitch should just be that. But she's going to go, hey, here's my elevator pitch. Selena, she's smart and thinks that people should do property crime. Oh, my goodness gracious. Again, please, if you haven't read while Selena was in jail, please do yourself a favor and get a hoot by reading that. And then to have the idea of what she might think property crime is, I'm waiting with bated breath. But so she's got this crew she's built and things are going great. With the property crime. Now she's going to talk about Batman says, things aren't going great for Batman. It's true. The guy can't catch a break. He really can't, though. I'm telling you, he has a lot of bragging rights. The guy jumped off the moon and he was fine. I mean, there's not many people who can do that, so at least he could brag about that. But she continues. Not that she's going to strike at him, meaning Selena. She loves the man, but he doesn't really take very well to being told to take a break. This is what the Gotham War, that's how you're going to start. And we'll talk about that maybe for a second at the end, but I probably will do kind of a preview of the Gotham War to discuss how we're going to get into that. But she's in a place where she's succeeding. Maybe. What happened? Punchline had like phase 8 and 10 was after, but then that's what it's really about. The world's greatest detective, all right, and the world's greatest criminal. And she keeps saying this. That doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right to call her the world's greatest criminal. I don't know. Again, I am a Catwoman fan. I would never term her as the world's greatest criminal. It really does throw a lot of her character out the window by just saying that in my mind. But both think they have the right answer for Gotham. One of them has been trying for a really long time and it hasn't worked. So there you go. Batman, the greatest, he's a chump. It hasn't worked. So Selena, and really says this, Batman has been trying for years. He's been trying to make Gotham. Oh my God, he's such a failure. And then Selena, in a couple months, makes it work. She says the other has been trying for a couple months and it seems to be working. I'm surprised that she doesn't say, and the other one kind of like, I'll kind of try here. I might not. Oh my God, it worked. So it's about Catwoman pitching an idea that she knows will solve the problem. And that's, what she's going with. That's the interview. That's her talking about this Gotham War. And it's just, again, there's so many things. The idea that she thinks that Tom King deal, that's one thing. But just the idea of this Gotham War being, Batman's tried this for so long. Batman has lost Gotham every other Tuesday. It just keeps happening. So that's not anything new. It'd be new to actually have him, keep Gotham. So you're going to end up having this crazy story. And the way that it starts out, I'll let you know, is that Batman, at the end of Chip Zdarsky's run till you get to that Night Terrors hiatus, you did have Batman having problems. He's been pretty much run through the ringer. He sees, what looks like he's hallucinating. He really needs to take a break. He needs to rest. Then you get this Night Terrors where, I don't know, he fell asleep for 2 months. Oh, wait a minute. That was a nightmare. So he didn't. So when he comes out of Night Terrors, he's very tired. And from what I've been told, he's going to fall asleep for 2 months. That sounds so ridiculous. But you have to have something to set up, because how could Selena do all this if Batman wasn't asleep? But you have the bad fact. It's nonsense. But we'll get into that later when we preview this whole thing. But overall, I don't know. I think that Tini Howard's kind of just making stuff up as she goes. Not a very good storyteller. A lot of her stories make no sense. She has no clue of the character, but also the situations that they're in. It's one of those things that people talk about writing what you know. I'll give Tini full credit. I said it on the podcast when we reviewed the issues. She knows nothing about jail, which might be a good thing. I'm glad. I'm glad that she doesn't really know anything about prison. She's a nice enough person to not know that, but maybe do some research, because I don't know what you thought was going on. And all of that, she's there with a crew that was hardly developed. You end up having meta-humans there, which didn't make sense in that jail, but now they're going to go. Now we're going to get all these Gotham, crime lords, everything going on pretty much while Batman sleeps. And I guess the Bat family is asleep at the wheel as well, letting all of this go. But you're also going to get weird things like Jason Todd teaming up with Catwoman. That's not for the here and now. This is just more about the nonsense of this interview and the reason why I continue and get more worried about this Gotham War going forward. So let me know what you think. Let me know if any of these things annoy you or if it's just me. And I understand. A lot of things are just me. I'm wacky. But a lot of this just, it made my eyes roll so much. But let me know in the comments below. And with that, I will talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.